And welcome to episode 6 of the Patcast. I am Wynne and West.
I'm Chucky Live. I'm back. I'm Chuck Livingston. What's happening?
Tyler Bennett.
Don't be scared. It's going to be fun.
You're wearing a tie. We can't be too scared.
It's really steamy out here. Why did I do this?
I know.
It's muggy.
And we are so glad that you have joined us, although you may be regretting it at this point. But we have a very informative half hour, 45 minutes in store for you, so we'll try to be quick with this one. So we're going to get right into it, as our Lady Patriots last Tuesday hosted the Lady Hurricane of Jonesboro High School in what was a thrilling matchup, probably a little more thrilling than the coaches wanted, but hey, it was a victory nonetheless over there at Lady Patriot Gymnasium. So guys, Chuck, what was your impression of the first set? One of the few sets we've dropped this year.
That was a really good win, I thought. Yeah, it probably wasn't the best game that the coaching staff has seen or experienced. I think some of the even Hope Phipps told us after the game that she could even tell early on that their gears weren't really clicking. But once they did, they got it worked out. So, and sometimes you got to do that. Like I said before in the past, I don't think every game is a referendum on the season. I don't think every set that they fail to win, that they lose, is surely this is why they can't compete in November. I don't think everything they win means they're definitely going to repeat as state champion. I think that sometimes you do have to just grind through these 4 and 5 set match wins, especially on the road or against a potential state tournament team in Jones. Well, they'll be in the state tournament, but you know what I mean. Sometimes it's just as important to grind through those on a night where you're not feeling your best, you're not playing your best, to still get a win. Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah, following that game, they met up in Nettleton, and before the Nettleton game, I got to sit down with Annalie Parker, and I liked her comments regarding that game, and she also had some insight into the remainder of the season. So let's hear from Annalie and myself right now at Lady Raider Gymnasium.
I have the privilege now to be joined by senior Lady Patriot Annalie Parker. Not her first time doing this, certainly won't be her last, but we're so happy that she's here. Annalie, how has this season been going for you and the team so far, in your own words?
I feel like it's actually been going pretty well. We're working together well. We're having fun. That's what it's all about.
They're having fun right now behind the camera. Obviously, right now we're in Nettleton getting ready for tonight's contest. But last Tuesday, you had a big game against Jonesboro, and that one kind of got a little hairy at first. Talk about Jonesboro, the first set. What was going on in a drop set for the Lady Patriots?
I think we kind of got a little nervous. We dug a hole, and we kind of let it get us down, but we definitely came back at the end, and it helped us motivate. It helped motivate us for the last 3 sets.
Okay, so in those last 3 sets, what went right that didn't necessarily go right in the first set?
I think our serve receive definitely stepped up. Our serving, just the way we were working together, it was really well.
Well, that's cool. As the Patriots score, thank you, Gabby. One question about that. Your role as a captain came into play with the referee and the bench that night with something that was later touted not to the discredit of the Patriots. What is your role as a captain in volleyball, specifically you?
I think sometimes it just depends on what's going on, what the situation is, especially in Jonesboro. When games are tight, everyone gets stressed. You have to keep your cool. You have to really help lead and tell everybody what it's all about. You can't get caught up in the unsportsmanlike conduct and stuff. So.
Okay. That was not the Lady Patriots, by the way, that were the subject of that conversation.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
Maggie is a great bench leader on that and kept it in check. She knows when to press the right buttons. Final thing, with this being Nettleton, tonight is the last game in the first rotation of this 5A, 6A conference. What are you hoping to accomplish in the second rotation that's the exact same but just different floors?
More wins, definitely. That's a huge one. Thank you, Sarah. I think that we can definitely step it up, just give it our all at every game. We've definitely played hard, but I think we can do better.
So with doing better, is that pressing towards having something specific for state tournament, district tournament, or just finding out what this team is capable of doing?
I think it'd be fun to just see what we're capable of doing. That's mainly the goal. First seed is always nice, but...
And so I've talked around a little bit with your friends and colleagues of sorts. Valley View, is still the one that's kind of ticketed because obviously that was a great game, and with what happened to the setter, Allie, is that one still circled for you?
Most definitely. That's Valley View is a great team with some great players, and if we want to beat them, we have to step up and we have to earn it. So
right, there's no free lunch against Valley View. No, they're defending 5A for a reason. So tons of respect for them, absolutely. But obviously, y'all didn't get to do what you wanted to do 100%. So obviously, it's just kind of, hey, let's see what we're made of this time. We know what Valley View's made of. So thank you so much, Annalee. It's so much fun catching up with you and the team, and we look forward to what's going on this next rotation and in Nettleton tonight, a top 11 matchup in the state, so it should be pretty fun.
Sweet. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Back to y'all, although it's probably me.
Monk, what did you take away from what Annalee had to say about the Lady Patriots and their efforts this season so far and against Jonesboro in that first set?
Well, I'm glad that one of her goals for the rest of the season was to win more games. That's always a good way to start. But as far as her comments go, volleyball is one of these sports where you have to have a goldfish memory. Like, not just after every set, but after every serve. You know, if something doesn't go right, the other team gets a point, something like that. You got to be able to rebound the very next try. So momentum is definitely a huge part of volleyball, but it's awesome that you can have a captain like her that can help sail the ship straight even when things start to stray away, like they did in the first set against Jonesboro.
Yeah, and Chuck, I want to bring you in on this one too, because you have a perspective on what happens when people are antagonized. Check out the premiere of I Hate Chuck Livingston this Thursday.
The acting in it was absolutely phenomenal.
We've seen within the past two games, not counting the Raiders, but there were two games in a row there, Jonesboro and another one, where the official kind of came into play. Not typical for volleyball. And then all of a sudden we're seeing this happen where the benches are playing some kind of role. We found out later it was Jonesboro's. What is this now with having a short memory as an official maybe or something like that? And while it was the same, we're talking about the group of being an official as a person, not just one specific person.
I thought that was interesting too, and we've actually seen this a lot lately. You know, if you're going to officiate high school varsity sports, I mean, you know, it really should be about the players, the student athletes, and things like that. We even saw this at the state softball tournament in Sheridan. A guy that was doing it was a field umpire in one game and the home plate umpire in another, both Marion games, inserted himself into the proceedings as though he wasn't just a supporting character, as a core character. I don't have an explanation for it. I will say that being an official is probably a thankless job, but you are still a professional. You should be held to a code of ethics, a higher standard than a lot of people. I didn't necessarily like that either instance. That was Jonesboro and Nettleton, I believe. I didn't necessarily appreciate that. Maybe it was necessary the first time, but after that it became a recurring deal. And it's just one of those things. I mean, I don't know what it was. Maybe they felt like they had to get a point across, or there's the line being stepped over. I wasn't there. I mean, I didn't get the lowdown on any of that, but it was it's not a trend that I hope to see sticking around for a long time. I can say that.
What kind of stats jump out at you from that 4-set game between the Patriots and the Hurricane?
Parker leading the team with 22 kills, pretty standard there. Sarah Betts was in with 13. Jonesboro, though, I thought they had a girl that had a great game. Here she is, Clara Parker. Now remember this name, number 20. She's a freshman, 16 kills for the Lady Golden Hurricane, 8 errors as well. But that's one of those things I think that'll sort of, even out over time. I think you saw that Marion has more good players that have played together. Jonesboro had some talented players as well, just not enough of them.
Following that, Lady Patriots had to have a quick turnaround and head to the campus of Nettleton High School to take on a very stout Lady Raiders team, one who had just defeated Jonesboro the week before in 5 sets, and that played a little bit of role. That was the key word, 5 sets, and then little did we know how that would turn out for us. So the Lady Patriots traveled up there for it. It turned out to be a top 11 matchup in the state, At the time, Patriots were ranked 6th, and the Raiders were ranked 11th. And you know what? I got to looking, and these matchups against Valley View and possibly even Jonesboro and Paragould, they were top state matchups. At one point, they could have been. Maybe they, that's telling you how much of a fantastic league we have with 5A, 6A East. If you like volleyball, this is your league. We'll see how that plays out later on with the other sports we have to play. But in the first set, the Lady Patriots on the campus of Nettleton High School defeated the Raiders 25-16. In the second set, 25-18. Fairly common scores for what we've been experiencing this year. And then the third set, everything just kind of went wonky as the Lady Patriots had match point 24-20 and dropped the set 26-24. Fourth set, all right, no big deal. Get them in the next one. Well, Lady Patriots had their second match point at 24-21. Ended up losing that one 29-27. So that was a long one. And at this point, you're kind of thinking, oh no, what's going wrong? You were there, Chuck. Talk about the slippage in the third and fourth. Don't get into the fifth one because that one was a different set altogether. But what was going on there? I mean, I have my theory. I'm interested to know yours.
I think there were a number of errors the team doesn't usually make. They had a couple of even serves that sailed out, which is sort of one of the trademarks of this team. Is they at least usually don't miss on serves. Had one in the net. You had one long.
He said something that I thought was interesting. That is my theory on this one. He said maybe they got tired.
Yeah.
Yes, they got tired.
It's a long game. 29-27.
But you played 7 games between Friday and Saturday, winning the River City Classic. You beat Jonesboro on Tuesday for 3-1. That's longer than usual. And then you did it in the third set. It was like you kind of flipped the switch is what it felt like to me. And you know what? Maybe the battery drained. Now to counter that, eventually the Lady Patriots, sometimes you're good enough that you can make mistakes and then make up for them. And we've seen that. We saw it against Jonesboro. They were hitting them out the back a ton in the first set. And so I think that in the Nettleton game in the fifth set, where the Lady Patriots did finally win 15-8, they've finally said, okay, we need to give it one last gasp. And you could
second win. Maybe.
Yeah, you could see that they knew their backs were finally against the wall in that game as far as they could go. When you're up 2-0, 2-1, you do have a little bit of breathing room. But when it's good first to 15, you don't. And finally, they kind of woke up, shook it off. Ali Bermucci was the victim of a poor call. I thought you had the best view in the house on that one. One that hit the line clearly was called out.
I try to stay off officials because of my checkered past and criticizing them, but pretty bad.
And then she made up for it just a few points later, slamming down a free ball that was coming back over on one. So she still has an ankle problem. That ankle is still, it swells when it's being strenuously used. So, you know what? I think that everyone did their job. It took a little bit longer, but they did their job and it worked out. So, stands out for me. I said during the broadcast that I had to do flying solo as Monk was holding down the fort here. So I apologize for the quality of that, but hopefully it worked out for you. As I noted, Annalie Parker had the best offensive night that she's had this season so far with 23 kills. And you could tell that they were a cut above what she normally does.
She had 5 in the deciding fifth set.
The defense, absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if you can see this. 35 digs for Hope Phipps. Consistency. The model of consistency.
7 a set.
That's incredible.
Stats.
You're talking about aces. I think she's tied for second in the state in aces.
I don't doubt it for 1 second. So, ultimately, they win and continue on having only Valley View as their blemish on the record. So, I'll take that for first rotation. I know they won't, but that's what the second rotation's for. This week, triple header against Greene County Tech here, at Wynne, and then at Forrest City. Guys, we've seen these teams before. I think that we can go ahead and do our fast take picks on this. Lady Patriots against Greene County Tech, 3-0. Against Wynne, 3-0. Against Forrest City, 3-0. Anything for you?
Hard to disagree with that. This should be a week where they can keep rolling. I think they'd be 17-1 if they're able to clear out all three here. So.
Yep. Anything different for you?
To use a TV term, it's sweeps week. 9-0.
Yeah. I don't see anything different.
And ASU play day.
I was going to say, but it ramps up on Saturday.
Right, yeah.
So these long weeks.
And that's a very competitive tournament.
Yeah, I don't think they may have been to the championship on that one as an organization one time. It's an extremely competitive field. So obviously maybe they're thinking about that one. So I hope that they get through this week and get into that. But ultimately you got to get through that unscathed too, because next week it's the Valley View Paragould week. Less Forrest City like last time. So best of luck this week. Stay healthy, stay positive, and I think that you're going to be 17-1 by the time this one's done, and then we're going to have play day on top of it. So go Lady Patriots. Time has come now to talk about the Patriot football team, as last Friday they ran up the interstate to Blytheville High School to take on a Chickasaw team that had just suffered its first loss of the season, and the Patriots having won their first. Both teams were 1-1, and it was a very interesting setup. I thought this first time I had been up there, probably multiple times for you.
I've been a couple times.
Very on top of the action, very old school. It reminded me of Quigley over at Little Rock Central, just being a throwback, and brick everywhere, concrete bleachers, the press box was on the roof of a gym, and it was a definite old school throwback. I think that just talking about the atmosphere, it was a lot better than I anticipated. We had a nightmare over there 2 years ago, from what I recall hearing about. I was in Orlando at the time, but it seemed like Blytheville was well behaved this time.
Better behaved.
Yeah, at least sober.
Yeah.
So best we could tell.
Allegedly.
So I think that this game overall lent itself to being a better environment for a game. And the fact that the Patriots were not going to get blown out 51-0 again also led to a better game. So, talking about stats and drives and everything, where y'all want to lead off with this one?
5 turnovers and 3 turnovers on downs in the Blytheville side of the field. I think in a 3-point game, those are pretty much it. And I know I last year famously proclaimed before the Blytheville game here at Patriot Stadium, if Marion turns it over 5 times, they will not win. Of course, they won that game behind some really stingy defense and some efficient scoring drives, but it rang true again the other night. When you give away 5 possessions, and I think Blytheville had 2 of their own, I'm going off memory, you're still giving them the ball 3 times, you lose 3 points. That's the game. Like I said, you can take the positives out of it that you want, you can take the negatives out of it surely too, but you can't. It's hard to win a game on the road with 5 turnovers.
Yeah. That game was pretty much back and forth in the first, or at least pull ahead, draw even, until the end of the first half when Bradford Doherty took the lead forward to the Patriots 24-22, as the Chickasaws managed to scramble off of a botched field goal attempt to get 2. Monk, you're the resident football guru,
former player
on this one. Statistically, was there anything in Marion's favor?
Statistically, besides turnovers, everything was in Marion's favor.
See,
Patriots end up with 327 passing yards compared to 160 for Blytheville.
And 88 of them came on one strike.
Again, 106. They did win the rushing game, but not by much. It was like 160 yards again for Blytheville rushing, and only like 140 for Marion. So
and Marion was probably more efficient, if I had to reckon.
Yeah, Tom ended up with 111, I want to say. The rest of the team combined for the rest of it. But again, they had it beat. The real story, as far as stats go, they did a really good job with D'Amico Clark with everything. You forced their backup, whose name was Gunby. I heard some people think that on the radio that we were saying his name was Gumby, but it was Gunby. So Gunby had a really good job coming in for an injured D'Amico Clark. He got injured on Blytheville's second drive, I want to say. Took a big hit from KB, got knocked out of bounds, and he just didn't look the same after it. But, again, this guy's a gladiator. He went out and still got these yards and was the punter for Blytheville. So D'Amico's going to get the star of the game for Blytheville there, even though he was hurt. Just really depressing when you can win on the stat sheet but not come away with the win as far as points go. Just like last year, the main game that comes to mind with that would be the Central game.
Yeah. And really to complement that Central game, there was an exchange of series in the second half, right at the beginning. Blytheville has just thrown down the field in one play and taken the lead 28-24. And we march back down the field and we stall out inside the red zone and turning the ball over on downs. Well, was it KB that got the interception? Mm-hmm. It was either number 8 or number 9.
KB had one, and then DeMont Chalmers had a strip later. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it was KB. He gets his interception at the 9, and again, the Patriots not able to capitalize and get any points on the board. Two things to come away from that. One, there were down issues all night with the linesmen and the chain crew. Blytheville went for it on 4th and 20 on their own 18 because they thought it was third down.
Because it said third down.
It said third down. And then the Patriots, I'm not sure if this really means a ton, but it doesn't look good for Blytheville. We had 1st and goal, but our down markers were still up.
Right, yep.
So that played a little bit of a role into it, and there was some confusion caused
because typically
from that.
You drop those if it's a goal-to-go situation.
It's hard to call on the radio, especially when it's third down and all of a sudden Blytheville's leaving to go on defense, and we're just like.
And you know what? I know they all can't.
Where are they going?
They all can't be the world-renowned Patriot chain crew, but you know, and you want to be a fan if you're from Blytheville, but we got to have chainmen before we have fans to do this game. I don't care where you are. So.
And, I think you pointed out, it affected both teams, which. If you're Blytheville, you're even more upset. You're like, wait a minute, you're killing us too. So,
and from these two series comes another conversation. You had 2 trips inside the red zone with nothing to show for it. I think in a lot of people's minds, you should at least have 3 points to show for it because you have a kicker who just set the record last week. He hasn't missed anything all year.
Well,
and there was some frustration on that because people say, oh, there's 2 trips, no points. Well, if you go for it on the first one, there is no second trip because of where the interception happened. So you can eliminate that and say, it ultimately would have been 1. And people say, oh, the score was 34-31. Well, the end of that game, I think Blytheville had decided.
They were 34-24. Marion scored.
Right, it was 2 possessions. And they just didn't quite go out there 100% on defense. I don't want to say it was garbage time because the Patriots are good at using every moment on the field.
And Marion could have recovered an onside kick and tried to kick it. Yeah, it all mattered. But the game goes differently in my
So I don't disagree with the call to go for it right there. You've got an all-state running back going against an all-state running back. I think we should have been able to make that if we had 2 chances and didn't capitalize. It looked like, from what I heard on the sound booth, the offensive line just kind of didn't have the gust of wind that they needed to get the right blocks going for Tom, and so it is what it is. And one other thought: when you have more turnovers than the margin of difference in the score, don't look at the margin as the issue. Okay, obviously the turnovers were the issue, and they just got to get better at that. So.
And the other thing too, regarding the red zone trips you were talking about, that's just what Marion does. It's a philosophy thing. It's a mentality thing. Again, nobody gripes when they knock that thing in the end zone on 3rd down, and they score and all that stuff. Again, in their minds, they should be able to score that football 6 out of 10 times. And if you can score a touchdown 6 out of 10 times, and maybe you get stuffed the other 4 times, then that outweighs the risk involved by night. You know what I mean? Like so again, I don't have a problem with them having faith in their offense. That's more results based micromanaging, armchair quarterbacking, but you can't really do it. They don't have that benefit in the game. The coaches have to make a call on the situation then. They've just seen Blytheville fly down and score in 2.5 minutes. They're gearing up for a shootout, and they're like, man, field goals aren't going to win this game maybe. Yeah, it hurts after the fact, but Coach Davis, he's an offensive guy. Barnhill's an offensive guy, and they know that if they're inside the 10, and it's not like late in the game or something like that, they feel like they can score on any snap. So it's hard to kill them when that's their philosophy, that's who they are, that's what they do. Again, when it doesn't go right, everybody wants to point to it, but what about when it does go right? That's the thing. So
and I think we'll end it on this. Remember, there's a reason we're sitting right here, because I want you to know this.
Because we broke in.
There are 5,000 spots between here and the east sideline stands. There are only so many spots on the sideline. Anybody can sit up here, but getting out there is a completely different story as a player or a coach. So yes, this is easy. We just walk up. Remember that it takes something to be out there, and so I hope that we all remember that, and I think that we do that fairly well. So every school is going to have its issues with some fans and parents critiquing because they want their kids to be successful, and I get that.
Or pesky newspaper reporters.
Yeah, and I get that. And you have every right, but remember that words and actions they affect others just besides your kid, and it's too easy to sit up here and then criticize sitting down there.
These aren't just faces with microphones that yell at kids and then they do something on the field. These guys have families. They love their job. We just need to treat them with more respect, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, speaking of respect, you'll see the irony in that. There's a game this week, right?
I think so.
Did we finally get
first conference game?
Yeah, did we finally get the Christian on the schedule? Did they join?
Did they
join the Arkansas Activities Association finally?
I don't know if they'd have the enrollment to be in the
still
conference.
still in good old MAIS.
Okay.
Mace. Not to be confused with the former rapper Mace, one of my favorites.
So following the final non-conference, we now have a true conference game against the Blue Devils of West Memphis High School / Academy, whatever.
Academies.
I think they're still the academies, yeah.
I don't.
Don't text the Times about me. I'm still saying the academies.
A rose by any other name still has thorns.
Rosebud.
The reason that I like this matchup now even more is because it's a week 4. In the past, we've had it at week 5. For 2 years, we had it in week 7 for some reason. That was terrible. But now it's week 4. And that, in my mind, that typically bodes well for Marion because usually if you look back even into the Uhiron era, they start out stronger than they end. Maybe that changes this year. I think that a lot of that was scheduling, though. So I'm glad to see it early when confidence maybe is still at a premium for both teams. Marion is going to walk into this game 1-2. West Memphis is going to walk into the game 2-1, following a rather one-sided game against Little Rock Central. The scoreboard didn't reflect that, but the stats did. So kudos to Central for the sportsmanship. What do we do Friday night or Friday or this week? What do we do with this game? Do we blow it up or do we treat it like a business trip? I mean,
This is just a good conference game. You got a really good opportunity to start 1-0 in conference. I think you just treat it like just another game because that's exactly what it is.
Home game, conference opener, big crowd. That's it. I don't know if there's anything else to be said about it.
So obviously we need to treat it like business because last year it wasn't treated like business, and the chicanery leading up to that was, quite frankly, has no place near a football field.
But Twitter ain't never been so good, though.
Well.
Or bad.
So this year, I think both teams, I know especially Marion, committed to treating it like a business trip. Now, for those of you who may have tuned into the wrong channel and the letters BMA just came across your mind, that's not to your advantage. That's just to our advantage to avoid the problems that come off the field, because this is a proxemic rivalry. All right, this morning I know that there are two guys in a Sunday school class at church. They're going to go up against each other. That doesn't happen every week, guys. It's the Duel in the Delta for 2016. What do you anticipate? I guess we're going to transition to Monk's Maulers.
Yeah.
Well, first off, offensively, the first thing that you're going to see is they have a very obvious game plan. They're going to try and get the lead early, and they're going to run that clock out. That's what they've done every year for the past however long they've had a football program. That's the only thing that they're going to do. It doesn't matter who the coach was. They want to get that lead early and kill the clock after that. So you're going to see a lot of running the ball. You're going to see spread offense mostly, which is rare for West Memphis with this new coach. But you will see spread now, and they're going to try and run out of that. They've got some big backs that they can work with. The thing about West Memphis, though, with their running game is, will that offensive line provide enough for them? Was talking with a former West Memphis offensive lineman earlier this week. He said that they've definitely got some improvement to do. But it should all be fixed out this Friday because they will be ready for their first conference game.
Yep.
But one thing that West Memphis has always loved to do is incorporate something called a sniffer back. This is a fullback that will be lined up in between the line and the quarterback, and his shoulders will be lined up with the shoulders of the guard and the tackle. He's an extra blocker, and he's a big boy, so he's going to create more lanes for them to run behind. Plus, if they need him, he'll be used as an extra pass blocker for West Memphis. So the sniffer's going to be a pretty good, but not the ultimate deciding factor of where the play's headed. So the sniffer, he's only going to be out there about 50% of the time, and that's only when he's absolutely needed.
Short yardage situations.
Short yardage situations, yeah.
Talk about their quarterback, because we were told
Which one?
Which one?
I was going to say, here's my point on that. We were told all summer, it's going to be this one guy.
Amari Stinnett.
Well, I was told another guy.
Oh.
And then
chicanery.
all summer, you got to know the crowd I hang with then, to understand where this is coming from. Which is a great crowd.
No shade.
Shout out. I heard one guy, and then Stinnett. I have family that are the Stinnett, so I don't know what Stinnett is. Stinnett shows up, and for the first two games, and then against Central, they've run three different quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of them
was only in for 3 plays.
Okay, so the main two, Monk. What is the scheme behind this?
Really, it just came down to Stinnett wasn't performing up to their expectations. He is a really good quarterback from what we have seen. He makes really smart decisions. Sometimes the line will force him into situations where he has to run, and he's a very capable runner. But his backup, Troxler, does seem to be the better athlete. The problem with him is he has a tremendous memory. And anytime something goes wrong, he remembers it. So
not the goldfish memory you're referring to.
Not the goldfish memory. This is an elephant memory. This is something that if something goes wrong, he's going to remember it. I was going to say a good old Mac Hurley quote, but I can't on camera. But
no, we've got a bleeper. It's fine.
But yeah, he's gonna remember if something doesn't go his way. So as far as that goes, I think that Stinnett is the better fit for this Blue Devil offense. But I do bet that they end up incorporating the two, run a dual quarterback thing back there for their offense.
All right, and perhaps the more interesting story of the West Memphis playbook is at the defensive side, because we got a familiar face over there now as former Patriot defensive coordinator. Butch Gray is back in the Delta. I'm glad to see him back in the Delta. I know he likes his side of the state. But for 1 week of the year, we don't like that he's over there. So,
Monk, one of your favorite coaches is now coaching on the other sideline. What do you think? I like Coach Gray. He was tremendous to work under. It sucks that he's wearing the blue now, but he's a good guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, tremendous guy. I had him, too, for a little while there, and just a very nice, man. He was kind of like the good cop to Hiram's bad cop, I guess. So, what do you expect from him without tipping off too much?
All of his defenses are 4-3. He's going to put 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers.
And that's what we run.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And sometimes the strong safety will come down, act as a 4th linebacker to help with the run. But it's the same defense that he's run as far as I can tell. Looking on film, it's some of the same stuff that we've seen. They're going to run mostly zone, but he will throw in man, just depending on the situation. He's very good with picking up what the situation is. He's definitely got a sheet ready, like, okay, when it's this down and they got this many yards left, we're going to run this. So he's very by the book, very capable play caller, and just really interested to see it again.
For this one, the pressure has got to be on West Memphis. I can't imagine why it would be on Marion, because what are expectations? Well, 10-0 is hard to argue with, but at the same time, let me say this.
I'm required by the West Memphis side of town to remind you it's 12-0.
I was not born in the 80s. I don't give a rat's patoot about the 80s.
I'm just telling you that I've done my part. West Memphis, calm down. Don't text the Times about me. I did my part. I mean, he's not gonna listen. I agree with you.
I wasn't born. I
agree with you. Okay. I'm just saying.
But the deal with this is, I mean, what does the victory mean though? If the Patriots win, then all of a sudden the conversation swaps from, hey, remember when we were down 28-25 and went on in the first year, went on 4th, or remember the years we had quarterbacks go over there, and
which one?
Remember, yeah, and just all kinds of things to, hey, remember Marion finally got it, you know? I remember last year we were touted to be pretty good at winning that one, and then I remember thinking, man, this is disappointing. Well, it's because there was pressure. We were both 3-0. This time
they were 2-1 actually.
Oh yeah, well yeah, and that's what I'm saying is when Marion is the favorite and not the underdog, it takes on a nasty identity. This game does, because when you have your back against the wall, all you can do is talk. And when West Memphis is the underdog, that's what they like to do, and somehow they manage to always find a way, using their mouths or whatever, winning right here, to do it. They don't have really a reason to talk this year. So Marion should be able to say, okay, this is our moment. We can sneak up on them, whatever. In a 10-year rivalry, we've seen these scenarios plenty of times. Who knows how this will go? But I think that this is obviously, if you think about it, probably a better chance for Marion this year than last year, because they are back to that underdog where, you know, the pressure isn't so intense and you don't have people barking at you. So, what do you think for scores? Fast take picks.
I think that this is a really, really close game.
Yes.
This is probably going to be the closest as far as margin goes all year, even closer than Blytheville. And I do think there's going to be a little bit of weirdness with it, as usual.
It's going to get weird.
And I think the feet are the difference in this game. Eat, sleep, beat the streak. I like Marion 17-15.
Marion Patriots?
That is a low score. Okay, but that's right up the alley for this game.
I don't know. It's hard. As I've always said, it's hard to see West Memphis losing to Marion until it happens. Before the season, I said 31-21 West Memphis. I think that's how it's going to go. I think that Marion's going to make some plays. They'll be back at home. They're more comfortable here. make some passing plays. You've talked about the corners being a little undersized. Collins, a big receiver. He can go up and get it. Devin Blakely, tall receiver that can jump. Marion's going to make some plays, probably some long runs. Tom Young I want to say, has hit 100 yards each of his first 2 games against West Memphis. That's going to be crucial for Marion, but I just think West Memphis, they're playing a little bit better right now, a little bit cleaner game. I think they win. I'll stick with 31-21. It's been my expected outcome since the summer, and seems about right.
I remember thinking at the end of last year's game, because that was the one where we were, the favorite. Man, this stinks. I had picked Marion, and I guess because of being the favorite and losing, maybe if you're the underdog now, that bodes well. I feel like that could be the case. I also like that, I haven't gotten to pick right in quite a while, so maybe if I did pick West Memphis, but, I'd rather eat dog food.
Crow?
You know what? I tell you what. I like Marion a lot to win this game. Not necessarily by a lot, but the things that went wrong. If you go back and look, the things that went wrong with last year's, with drop passes and things in your spread offense, they've gone right this year pretty consistently. And with that mismatch, that could be the difference. So I tell you what, let's reverse history. Let's give Marion the win 31-28 instead of 11 years, 10-year anniversary. Let's give them 31-28 Marion and hang one on them. Sounds pretty good to me. So I hope that works out. More importantly, especially as a teacher now, I hope that the week leading up to it is far more tame.
It's already been better this year, I've noticed. Which is
last year, by this point, the Patriot Twitter count got 5 hate tweets, so we're doing pretty good now. We're
is
at
that
0.
it?
Yeah,
at 0.
Trench is at 0. Trench will not be giving out any hate. We will be on a business trip as well because this is where we do work, and we're going to keep it at that. So, hey, if we can keep this cordial, it'd be great. They're our blood, and we're theirs. That's just the way it is every day of the week except Friday night. So hopefully that works out this way. Any final thoughts for you, Monk?
Just, first conference game of the year that just happens to be our neighbors. Really looking forward to it.
Conference opener Friday night. See you at 7.
And looking forward to a great turnout, a good celebration of this community. There are good things that are happening here, and we hope to see them on the football field. So we look forward to that. So until then, I am Marion and West.
I'm Chuck Livingston.
Monka Bennett.
Saying, go Patriots. You'll get that one from me this week along with him. But obviously, have a pleasant week. Enjoy this experience, and look forward to the premiere of I Hate Chuck Livingston this Thursday. A little bit of a look into what it means to be him in this world.
Don't we all, though?
Most people do. The smart people do, I would say. Full of self-loathing right now.
Go Pats.